And so if people were like, they think that they're doing rugby style strength or this sort of strength where they're just going hard for, 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe they're doing a Tabata, which we're not even going to get into because it's not a Tabata. But they're doing different interval workouts where they're under recovered because they want to try and perform tired and they feel like that emulates a game better. Is that a worthy approach still as well?
There's definitely benefit to learning how things are going to hurt in training, so you're ready for it when you compete. But also, if that's how you're doing it all the time, you're not getting a lot of those benefits. You're not developing at that point. You're developing a different set of skills. You're developing the ability to perform while fatigued, and that's a crucial part of it. But that's not all of it, because at that point, the amount, yes, you're also getting fitter, but the amount of productive work you can do there. The nice thing about all this zone 2 training, this easy work, is it's a free lunch. You can do so much of it, and you can get such astronomical improvements without really exhausting yourself. Because if you do it right, you can do an hour of zone 2 work pretty much any time during the week that you want, and you're not going to feel any ill effects from it unless you go out too hard. So you tell people, this is basically saying you want to be better. You're not just crushing yourself. You're doing something that makes you better that doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't. All it costs you is time. And if you want to be good and you're not willing to spend the time, then what are you doing out here?
Completely.
And one of the biggest examples I got from the pure strength standpoint is I worked with an athlete who was a very, very, very high level power lifter. And at first he didn't see the benefits to it. He just started doing this for the tangential benefits and everything else. And, heart and everything else. He had a history of heart disease. I need to be healthier. And, it was after about 4 months of working with him, he basically said, he sent me an email and he said, one thing I didn't realize up to this day that's made the biggest difference, because his lifting was going fantastically well. He said, I realized for the last couple of weeks I've been putting on my own knee wraps. And this is an individual who squatted close to 350 kilos. He said, I've been putting on my own knee wraps without help, and I wasn't winded. It sounds so. Actually, I think it was like 380 kilos. Absolute beast. What made such a profound difference to that is that he was able to do more productive, high intensity work. You don't get much more high intensity than heavy squats. He was able to do so much productive, high intensity work per session because of his lower level of background fatigue and faster recovery than otherwise. And he basically said, look, when I actually get to meet day, I'm going to have done 15 to 20% more productive lifting than the guy next to me. That's going to make me the better. And that's what it comes down to is you tell your players is like, look, whatever training you go through right now, you think hammering your head against a wall over and over and over again is what you need to do. Well, how about if you do a little bit more training, you can hammer your head against a wall 20% more. You're going to be better. This is you're earning your ability to do more work. You're earning your ability to do what you need to do to be a better athlete.
This actually reminds me of I've done a reaction video of me and another strength coach, and we were watching I think it was like a 20-minute long YouTube video of this guy who wanted to. He was a newspaper reporter or just a writer, freelance writer, and he decided to train like a professional rugby player for 6 weeks and see the results. And it was sponsored by a supplement company, so that was everywhere. But he actually had to drop out after 4 weeks because he just didn't have the work capacity to keep up, and he got a hernia. It's like you have. I couldn't believe it when I was watching. I was like, "This is so ridiculous." And then he didn't even make the 6 weeks because he hadn't paid his dues to get there. You just jumped from 0 to 100, and that's why. A lot of these guys that especially when you look at YouTube workouts and stuff, like they've earned the right to do those stuff, because of the work that they've put in before. So, for sure. Okay, so on top of that, I guess your realm is real hybrid training. So it's real either end of the spectrum, right? So developing the aerobic system and the strength at the highest levels that we can. So on those, obviously we've discussed how they kind of feed into each other, but what would be other sort of misconceptions that people have about this style of training?
There are a lot of people who think it's a gimmick. In other words, not to even say that the idea is gimmicky, but they think that the objective of hybrid training is to be good at hybrid training, and it's really not. A lot of what we do, kind of more the illustrations, the proof of concept type stuff, the powerlifters doing ultra marathons and like, is really just demonstrating what can be done with the overall philosophy.
Yeah.
The objective is really to be able to work with any athlete, to be able to work with any individual, even those strength athletes who don't have endurance aspirations, endurance athletes who don't have strength aspirations. A lot of the training we do is basically to show here's how we combine these two systems with minimal to no interference. And people think it's a thing. Oh, well, I need to go do the something challenge where you squat X amount and run X amount a day. I hate that kind of stuff. I really do. The whole point of this is to be able to go up to anybody and say, look, this is just how you train in general. This is how working in one system benefits you in the other. Doesn't matter how far apart on the spectrum they are. You can and should do them together if you want to be a better athlete, a more durable athlete, an athlete who can do more work, an athlete who can do more productive work, an athlete who has the base and skills and programming needed to really raise themselves up to the next echelon. So the biggest misconception is that hybrid training is its own standalone thing, when in reality it's just an approach for athletic programming at all levels for all types of athletes.